Welcome back, everybody. Brand new week of the Cabral Concept. Here we go. Today's Mindset and Motivation Monday show of the week. I want to share with you an amazing analogy I just heard. It was probably last week. I was listening to a podcast, which I like to do. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to on my walk. It's a creative time where I like to keep my mind open, just enjoy, nothing super intense. And oftentimes it's motivational, it's inspiring, it's self-improvement based. It can be really in any topic that I'm looking to explore, not just necessarily health. I love listening to basically talks in psychology, how the human mind works. And I love, of course, to be able to share that information with you. The human mind is something I've been working on for myself personally since I was about 21, 22 years old. I discovered it at my senior year of college, essentially. That's really when I started looking into it, maybe late junior year. And you might say, well, that's, did you not really know about the human mind before then? The truth is really no. Like I knew about cognitive-based ability. I knew about, learning those types of things, but I didn't really understand it from a subconscious level. I didn't really understand it from you can actually rewire your mind, your nervous system, all of those things. And it took me years, honestly, it took me years to truly comprehend it and then to begin to act on it. I know I was just out of college when I started to dabble a little bit, but for example, I had 22 years of indoctrination of this is how you heal yourself. This is how you work, go to work every day. This is what your life is supposed to all be about. And I just found myself up against that every day. I didn't want to work at a desk behind a cubicle every day of my life. Like it wasn't what I wanted, but that's what I was doing, right? That's what I was doing. I just realized I got out of college. I've got lots of debt. I need to pay for that debt. I'm not necessarily knowing if there is a way. And remember, this is kind of pre-internet or just when the internet was coming out, meaning like for mass population, of course, like it was available in the 90s or so, but not for everybody, right? Like it just like most homes, at least around me, didn't necessarily have internet. You had dial-up to start with. And so what I realized was that I could learn a lot from books. I could learn a lot from back then CDs and audios. And I listened to a lot of Nightingale Conant. And I was trying to rewire my brain with what a lot of these authors and mentors, virtual mentors, were feeding me. So at the same time I was trying to heal my body, I still had Addisons disease, still had type 2 diabetes, still had all the effects of autoimmune issues like rheumatoid arthritis, still had awful insomnia, acid reflux, allergies, mastocytosis, basically mast cell activation syndrome, so many other issues, right? I had a lot of issues. So I was trying to heal my body, okay? But at the same time, I was trying to heal my mind because I wasn't necessarily happy. And I just felt this disconnect from the world around me to where I was. Like, I didn't want this for myself. This wasn't what I wanted. And it was a constant struggle in both body and mind. So when I began to listen to these audio books, and I began to read more and more. And that's really what I dedicated my life to. So I had a day job and I also worked in the evening as a nutritionist and personal trainer. And then I had essentially 90 minutes a day each way by car and by train. And so what I would do is give myself a 3-hour education every day. That 3 hours was on the worldly based events. That was only like 20 minutes or so. I would read the little paper on the train. And then the rest of it was all of the things that I try to share with you on Mondays. That's what I listened to for over a decade of my life. And it's not like I've stopped. But now, when you've done the work, you already know what the author is going to say before they say it. And that's where you need to get to. For whatever it is you're looking to achieve. Your health, like specifically thyroid or autoimmune or allergy or acid reflux, you need to know what your mentor and your coach is basically going to say before they say it. And then you're at the point where you have the knowledge and now you just need to begin to implement. And going back now to that quote that I was sharing with you, amazing quote that I heard. And I wish I could attribute it to an exact individual, but this was like twice removed from when they shared it. They said, what you really need to do in life is keep your sales up. I love that. Getting ahead in life is really just about keeping your sales up. Now, sailing to me has a just special place in my heart because when I was about 11 years old or so, right around then, maybe 10 at the very earliest, I started to sail at a local boat club. We sailed in these things called N10s, basically duplins. These are like these big tubs. They're not even that big. They're like 11 feet, 12 feet long or so. And they had one sail, right? And we'd sailed on the lake in Medford. And so basically, we're on the lake. Some days there would be wind. Some days there would be no wind. And on the days where there was no wind, you just sat there. Literally, you were in the boat on the lake, and we called it glass, meaning the lake was so still, you saw all the reflections of the neighboring trees, the little markers on the lake, all the reflections, not a ripple, no wind in sight. And as I got to be older, I got my dream job. My dream job was actually to teach sailing. So when I was 17 years old, I got a job teaching sailing at the same place that I learned to sail. Was it anything extravagant? No, I got paid like $8 an hour or $10 an hour, but it was amazing. Literally my dream job still, what to this day, besides what I'm doing right now, favorite job in the world. And so I loved it. I taught children, then I taught adults one night a week. So I taught kids every day, Monday through Friday, and then I taught adults one night a week, especially for the adults at night. It was just glass. There was no wind. But here's what we did. We always went out every single day for every single class onto the lake. And here's why. We would either pull the boats out, we would have the kids row their boat out with a paddle because every boat had to have a paddle, and we would just get out there into the middle of the lake. And a lake, not like the ocean or anything like that, and especially in Medford, the winds would sometimes kick up. Now, here's what we learned. If you kept those sails up and you were ready for it, when the wind came, we had an amazing day of sailing. There were laughs, there was lots of learnings, we had so much fun, we enjoyed it. Because if you've ever learned how to sail, you've been out on a boat, it's an unbelievable experience. It's just calming, it's relaxing. It is like meditation in motion. It's amazing. So when I heard this analogy that in life, you just need to keep your sails up, I got it. I instantly said, it's amazing. Because here's the thing. From 17 years old to 19 years old, I didn't do anything natural health-wise. I went from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist. I saw over 24 different specialists, the best in Boston. Literally, I can't even begin to tell you. I was at all the major hospitals. My mom and dad took me to all these appointments. They did the best that they could. The doctors honestly did the best that they could too. Some were extremely rude. They really were. A couple told me it was all in my head. And then others that were honest, they said, just listen, we don't know what's wrong. We can see, obviously, your son is suffering. We can see he has swollen glands. We can see that his immune system isn't functioning that well, that he's getting pneumonia every winter, that all these things are happening. We don't know why, but we don't know why. At least they were honest, right? Then, by chance, right? I don't know if there's anything by chance. I kept my sails up, right? My parents kept the sails up. We heard about this thing called alternative medicine, right? Or complementary medicine or natural health, whatever you want to call it. And at 19 years old, I think I was a sophomore in college, we went to a place called the Marino Center in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now it's a shell of its former self, which is too bad. But they gave me my first glimpse of functional medicine lab testing. At-home lab testing, which of course is what I do here today. Why do I do it today? Well, because now, ultimately, my road traveled all the way to 27 years old, but that's what ultimately helped me get well. My mentor, Dr. Pete, combining, because it's not just functional medicine lab testing. A lot of people can run functional medicine labs, but it's the knowledge and the plan and the protocol that they give you. And that's what she gave me. So here's what I did, though. From 17 years old, really to 19, just went doctor to doctor. I needed to do that. I needed to learn that conventional medicine didn't have the answers, that it wasn't this false idol that we all look to have all the answers. We know. Look back over the last couple of years. Look at all the recommendations. Look at everything, all the things that were wrong. And look at all the other things that you weren't allowed to talk about. Now many of them are right? So now when I look at it today, that gives me that insight. So sometimes you have to learn what isn't right for you to ultimately find what it is that you need. And so then, though, from 20 years old to 27 years old, I went to dozens upon dozens natural health practitioners. Some were very helpful. They helped me. I would continue to relapse, but they helped. I learned a lot. I read hundreds, then thousands of books. I read thousands of books. I would read, which I know seems ridiculous, I would read at least 3 books a week on average. And I did that every single week for every single year. So I learned a lot. Got well, but then I would relapse. Got well, relapse again. Every winter from November through April, always sick. Every 2 weeks, sinus infections, congestion, pneumonia, etc. Then, end of every April, 3 weeks of debilitating allergies. So much so that sometimes, honestly, I couldn't go to work. It was that bad. Well, what happens is this. Just through stubborn persistence and not giving up and simply keeping those sales up. Now, the sales would come down every time I would relapse. I would get very down on myself, go to a very dark place. There's no doubt about that. Not a very happy person during those periods of time. No doubt about it. Sales came down. A few weeks go by, sulk for a little bit, sales go back up. Try the next thing. So all I was able to do was just stick with it. I kept my sales up long enough to continue to read books. Guess what? One of those books happened to be by Dr. Pete. I read that book. I contacted her. She emailed me back by somehow, some way. And as they say, the rest is history. So what I share with you here today is that we don't always have all the answers. And it's especially true in anything that we're looking to achieve in our life. Because if we already had the answer, laid out exactly how we needed it, because sometimes we have the answer, it's just not laid out how we need it. We have to rely on the fact that it is out there. It is waiting for us. The timing may not be right at this moment. But if you keep those sales up and you continue to persevere and you keep your mind open and don't shut out the possibility that, you know what, the answer could come from one of the strangest places or people, but it will present itself. Ultimately, you will find your answer. If you continue to work hard, you put in that work, you put in the time, you put in the effort, you ask around, you read the books, you listen to the podcasts, you do the courses, you take the certifications, you just continue to move forward. If you do that long enough, you can't help but be successful in any area that you're looking to achieve amazing things. I truly believe that. It happened by me. It took a whole lot longer than it should, but I'll tell you right now, if we had the internet, if we had all of those things, maybe it wouldn't happen faster. But the truth is this, I'm on my own journey in life. It happened exactly how it was supposed to. It took 10 years, but it took 10 years because I had a lot to learn. There was much I still needed to learn. I needed to rewire the brain, not just the body. And because of that, I was enabled to learn a very wide variety of knowledge in natural health. So when it was my time then to begin to teach that to others, I could keep an open mind, I could be truly integrative, and then try to share what I've seen work not only for myself, but now hundreds of thousands of people from our practice. So hopefully this was helpful. I wish you all the best in life. You deserve the best. Keep those sales up. And as always, if this show is helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.